The Pine Bluff City Council meeting of September the 15th, 2014 is hereby called to order. May we have roll call, please?
Alderman Brummett.
Here.
Alderman Easterly.
Here.
Alderman Stout.
Here.
Alderman Walker. Alderman Boyd.
Here.
Alderman Brown. Here. Alderman Mays.
Here.
Alderman Holtzman.
Here.
Thank you. Each of you have a copy of the minutes from September the 2nd. It's been moved. Do we have a second? Second, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, the minutes as presented on September the 2nd. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to committee reports. Ways and Means, Alderman Brummett.
Yes, Mayor. The Ways and Means Committee met prior to the meeting. We have, I think it's 6 now, budget adjustments to consider tonight. The first one I want to consider is one from the Inspection Department. Basically, there was an audit done in the processing of fees and so on. It was determined that there were fees that we weren't properly paying or collecting, and that there has to be an adjustment within the department to cover those fees. You all have a copy of the adjustment in front of you. The monies are coming from within the department through adjustments in various accounts, so there's no undesignated funds required. And I move we accept this budget adjustment from the Inspection Department. Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that a budget adjustment for the Inspection Department in the amount of $18,100 be approved. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, the next one we have is a request for support of the Babe Ruth World Series from Taylor Field. The total amount is $10,000, and it's recommended from Ways and Means that this be from the 5/8 sales tax reserve. So I move that we approve this transfer additional budget for Taylor Field to cover improvements required in preparation for the Babe Ruth World Series.
It's been properly moved and second that a transfer in the amount of $10,000 for Taylor Field for the 2015 Little League World Series be approved.
It's Babe Ruth.
What did I say?
It says Little League, but it's Babe Ruth.
Thank you, sir. I stand corrected. $10,000 for Taylor Field improvements. Floor is now open for discussion.
Yes, Mr. Hill does a good job. We allocate them, I think, 10 or 15 a year. Anyway, they're doing a good job over there. Would this be a part of that?
In addition to.
In addition to it? Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a request from the Information Technology Department, additional budget required to cover telephone costs through year end within the department. The total is $1,000, and again, was able to find the money within his department, so there won't be anything charged to undesignated funds. I move we accept this budget adjustment from the IT department. Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that a budget adjustment for our IT department in the amount of $1,000 be voted on. Any floors now open for discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a budget adjustment in an amount of $32,419.51. As you recall, we had a legislation that was passed at the last council meeting to allow the clerk to acquire a scanner to be able to scan books and other documents within the department. And this money is to come from the 5/8 sales tax reserve. I move we accept this budget adjustment from the city clerk's department. Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that a budget request for the city clerk's office in the amount of $32,419 be approved. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a budget adjustment from the Transit Department. Everybody has a copy. It's additional budget required to fund accounts through year end funded within the department. This is to help them with covering costs that they have incurred from various functions that they provided services around the city, and was not budgeted within the budget. So, and again, as you see, the money is coming from within the department, so there's nothing coming out of undesignated general funds. I move that we accept this budget adjustment.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second that a budget adjustment for the Transit Department in the amount of $40,130 be approved. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Again, what are we gonna do with this money? Because I was thinking about 10,000, you said 40,000, not completely.
Part of it was from the new buses that were purchased, that when we looked at the buses originally, it was $158,000, and the actual cost was $171, so that's like 14 of it. And the rest of it is just items that weren't properly, I don't think, properly budgeted beginning of the
You
year.
talk so soft, but you know how to understand. You spoke earlier.
Yes,
I didn't hear you, that's why we asked the question.
okay.
Okay.
You got it? Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a request from the Cemetery Department for a new roof for the cemetery building required due to the fact that it's leaking. The roof's over 20 years old and it's leaked. They've taken bids. You have copies of the bids attached, and they're asking to move $5,000 from their repair and maintenance for grounds to repair and maintenance for the building. I move we accept this budget adjustment from the cemetery.
It's been properly moved and second that a budget adjustment in the amount of $5,000 for the cemetery be approved. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, I move that the bills that the city owes be paid.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that the bills for the city be paid. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that concludes Ways and Means.
Thank you, sir. Ordinances and resolutions, Alderman Brummett.
Yes, Mayor, the Ordinance Resolutions Committee met prior to the meeting. We will complete the ordinances based on what it says on your agenda, whether they be third reading, second, first, and so on. And then, of course, resolutions will be completed. I believe you wanted to pull 1314, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Alderman Hayes? Want to pull 1314 for further consideration at this time. And that concludes orders and resolutions. Huh? Oh, yeah, excuse me. We do have a resolution to add. Is that what you were trying to get my attention for? Okay. A resolution authorized the mayor to contract with Davis Construction Company for repair of the roof of the cemetery. I move we add that as number 20 on resolutions to the agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that the resolution authorizing the mayor to contract with Davis Construction Company for repair of the roof of the cemetery office. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, may we have roll call, please?
Alderman Brummett.
Aye.
Alderman Easterly. Alderman Smith.
Aye.
Alderman Walker. Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Brown. Alderman Mays. Alderman Hope.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And that concludes ordinance and resolutions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Economic and Community Development, Alderwoman Walker.
Mayor, I do have a comment from community development, but I would like to say these items that was left on our desk, ordinance number 6395, and the 5-year plan, with your 60, ordinance number 6025. I'm not sure what committee that would go to, but I think maybe planning and development or something, I'm not sure. But I think it's something that we should look at before we vote, because it is, both of these are laws. It's not just a suggestion or an idea. So it's laws that are already on the book. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Public Health and Welfare, Alderman Holcomb.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Public Works, Alderman Mays.
We didn't have a meeting, but I just want to, I pulled 13 and 14 for reasons that we're still looking at it on the boundaries. I've called Mr. Larry Reynolds about working up a bid sheet or something like this so we can get some bids on the boundaries I'm not going to stop with that because it's very important. After looking over our legislative audit over the weekend that we got in from the state, it's really important that we do the boundaries, that we redo our city boundaries. And it will be an ongoing, near-finished issue that we will have to solve soon. And we're looking at it. It's a very important issue. A lot of the citizens in Pine Bluff now are concerned about the 71602 zip code and our city boundaries. It's still very confusing. And once again, since reading and studying over the legislative audit over the weekend, it's serious business. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Development and Planning, Alderman Boyd.
Well, we met on last Tuesday on the 9th, and I think we covered item number 4 and 6. From our committee, it was voted upon to present to the council for approval. I understand number 6 will be read for the first time. That there's other discussion about it there.
Yeah.
And 4 is up for read for the first time. That's my report, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Traffic and Aviation, Alderman Brown.
Thank you very much. Personally, I don't have a report to give, but I do have a statement I'd like to make to this body. And that is that we all say that we love Pine Bluff. We all say we love our fellow man. We go to church every Sunday, or whenever you go, and say, "We're our Creator, and we love our brother man." We're going to do that on a day-to-day basis. We say that we love Pine Bluff, and we'll clap for things that leads the people and our money and our businesses away every day from 8:30, from 7:30 and 8:30. Our business come in, our people come in, and they leave out at 4:30 or 5:30. That's our tax base. That's our money. That's our business. That's what we say. You say that you love Pine Bluff, but some of us sitting right here in this room either clap for a residency ordinance that said that you didn't have to live here, that we're not doing right by that ordinance. Some of the city council members here voted for the residents of the ordinance for you not to have to live here, but at the same time, you take the taxpayers' money and ride Sheridan, or ride up Star City, or ride to wherever, Hot Springs, or Monticello, wherever you like to go. And you tell me that you think that Pine Bluff is going to survive. I don't know how that's going to happen if we're not paying attention to our people and our taxpayers. That affects us all. We can sit here all day long and make rules and regulations. It's not going to do any good if you don't have any people here for you to work with. So I'd like to ask the people that don't think that you take taxpayers' money and allow them to drive away. I'd like for you to tell me, well, think about it. What will make that work? How can your town survive? We're making rules for the few people that are still here. What about the ones that drive in every day and drive out with your money? Those are the things that we got to consider. And I don't like stepping on anybody's toes, but I understand that our banks here are buying banks in every other city. They're buying banks in out of state. I'd like to know what the problem areas too. I mean, we're here. We're here, and they just come out every day. I look in the newspaper about banks, buying banks in Michigan, Memphis, Hot Springs, Little Rock. And I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna tell you like it is. It's been said to me that in less than 2 years, the head office will be lit in Little Rock. So, what do you think our future is? I mean, what are we gonna do? We're making rules and laws and ordinances and resolutions for what? If the bulk of our business and tax base is leaving us every day, what good is it? Nobody can say they love Pine Bluff any better than me. I have never made a separate vote on the city council, nor at the count on the quorum court. Never made a separate vote. My vote has always been for the people of Pine Bluff and the people of Jefferson County. It will continue to be that way. But I know there's some people that have made votes against us. And I don't know what you're thinking, but we're shrinking. We're shrinking. And you cannot clap and not think about this if you want to, but we're shrinking. Something needs to be done, it needs to be said, it needs to be brought attention to. What we do tonight, we're gonna do tonight. But in the end, we're dying. Thank you very much.
Administration, Alderman Steps.
Yeah, Mayor, we had a administration meeting. We had an appeal for suspension of a 1 day, and it was recommended a 2-to-1 vote that was reversed, and that day was given back to the employee. Also, we had a meeting with the insurance. We have Gina, the finance person. She's looking to some other avenues, and that they're gonna bring some information back to us, because we're talking about some increases that's gonna have to be passed on to the employees or to the city, and we're not in a position right now to do neither. So what we're gonna do is to wait on that report to come back, and we will call another meeting, and we will see what we can do to make some adjustments. I understand, I know we asked for a broker to look into it for us, for some other insurance companies, so we can get some other recommendations from them. Mayor, that's the end of my report.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Public Safety, Alderman Easterly.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. On to ordinances and resolutions.
Mayor, we have an ordinance requiring that all city contracts contain a provision requiring the contractor to make good faith efforts to hire local firms to help perform the contract work, and further requiring the contractor document its efforts for inspection by the city, up for the third and final reading.
An ordinance requiring that all city contracts contain a provision requiring the contractor to make good faith efforts to hire local firms to help perform the contract work, and further requiring the contractor document its efforts for inspection by the city.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that an ordinance requiring that all city contracts contain a provision requiring the contractor to make good faith efforts to hire local firms to help perform the contract work, and further requiring the contractor document its efforts for inspection by the city. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have an ordinance amending 16-1 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to provide for new and additional tools to remediate public nuisance and hazardous structures and related purposes, up for the third and final reading.
An ordinance amending 16-1 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to provide for new and additional tools to remediate public nuisances and hazardous structures and related purposes.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that an ordinance amending 16-1 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to provide for new and additional tools to remediate public nuisance and hazardous structures and related purposes. Floor is now open for discussion. Yes, sir, Alderman Holcomb.
Let me say, I am the sponsor of this ordinance, and this ordinance was put into place to correct the problem with the buildings downtown, with the old buildings downtown. These has nothing to do with houses in the city. And we all know we have a problem with those buildings that are 100 years old, that are collapsing. This is not to attack persons, but the problems with those buildings downtown. If you, we have gotten with the city inspectors. They have told us that a lot of those buildings are nothing more than rubbish. And we're going to have more buildings that are going to collapse in a mere matter of time. Now, we tried to get this ordinance put together a month and a half ago. It just so happened that this, the building just happened to collapse. This is not an attack against anybody. There are people of color who own buildings, white and black. This is not an attack against anybody. We are trying to contact owners of all these buildings so we can get this problem corrected. This is not an ordinance to attack those who own houses. This is to correct the buildings in the downtown area. And and those who serve on the council know, when you put fines in an ordinance, you put jail time with it. And you all know we can't put nobody in jail. That's up to a judge. That's just the language in the ordinance to clarify that issue. That's been the talk in the community. We have no power to put an individual in jail. We really don't have the power to impart the fine. That's up to a judge. That's just the language in the ordinance. But we're trying to correct this problem. My concern is if we have the homecoming parade, and if we don't do nothing very soon, we're going to have more buildings that collapse, and with all that band music. And somebody's going to get hurt with all those people down there in the near future. So that's why I took it on myself to put this ordinance together. I'm looking at 2 to 5 years down the line. It's not an attack against anybody. You have to look toward public health and welfare of the city of Pine Bluff. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Alderman Easterly.
And I asked Alderman Holcomb if I could sign on as co-sponsor, which I did, because I think it's important that we work together and get some teeth into the ordinance where we have at least some type of pressure we can put on these owners of these downtown buildings. As you can see right now, we haven't been able to do anything, and Miss Irene Holcomb, who was on there for all the years, that was one of her big concerns, was to getting inspections and making sure about these buildings. And this is something that will help us to make sure those buildings are safe, because as Alderman Holcomb has said, if somebody happens to be there, there does happen to be a building collapse, and there's a bunch of those kids out there or prayed or something like that. I mean, the odds of that happening is not very good, but what if it does? Then they're going to come back and say, why didn't you do something to protect our people? So that's the reason I asked to sign on. I asked for your support for it, as this is to help us to make our downtown a better area and clean it up and give the inspection department the tools they need. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I think Alderman Brown had his hand up.
Thank you very much. I too would love to see the downtown building. Well, I'm going to speak before what my real concern is. My real concern is that this ordinance does not directly say downtown. So this ordinance will affect any nuisance building. That's because you didn't clarify that in this ordinance. But the next thing I want to say was, and that is, I want every building that's not being used downtown or any part of Pine Bluff. And I'm definitely talking about businesses, because more than likely, those businesses have made money, and those people have, again, left on Bluff, and left those buildings there as an eyesore, very bad eyesore. And I want to speak for a building that I have written an editorial against, and that's the Pines Hotel. That's a bathroom for pigeons. It's sitting in front of our biggest, the tallest building in Pine Bluff. And it's been sitting there for years, and nobody has decided to tear it down or fix it back. Now, the last mayor we had voted for, he accepted it, and I voted against it. However, I did support it after the city was given to us. The senior theater. I don't have any feelings for the senior theater, but I voted against it. However, my vote didn't work. It passed, and the next vote was to give some money to clean it up, and I voted for that. So I love this city. I love whatever needs to take place. But we have buildings that are torn, that are falling in, or should be down. They're still there. And I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with voting for something that deals with that. This ordinance here is too vague, it's wide, it covers a lot more than just, and it doesn't say downtown building, it doesn't say business. So I definitely, it's gonna be very hard for me to support that. I'm thinking about the speaker that was trying to suggest that in the early part of tonight. However, it is what I would wish that we could do this year, because it's gonna be impossible to get those buildings torn down before any parade we're gonna have. We're gonna have a regular parade in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It is within my thought that we can find another place to have our parades this year, and it's probably gonna include the Christmas parade too. But certainly, if we can find another place, and I wish we could work with the people that would allow us to do that, to move those parades this year to safer grounds, but to grounds where, not only just safer grounds, but better looking grounds. The way the buildings look downtown is hard. And so I just think that we need to work on this. I can't support this ordinance as it speaks, as it references. Thank you very much.
I think Alderman Steps.
I was just trying to get some clarity from what Alderman Holcomb had stated, and I was trying to make sure that the speaker that came up, Mr. Trice, about the houses, that was clear, that would be the clarity that I think that he was concerned about, that we're talking about the buildings downtown and not residential structure. Okay, go ahead, Wayne.
I'm fixing to move to
Okay.
have Joe to amend it to make commercial buildings, commercial property only.
Commercial property only, yes,
Throughout the city, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Not just downtown.
Commercial property.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's good.
I second.
Are we doing this for just downtown?
Throughout the city.
Commercial structure.
Before you vote, there's actually nothing in zoning about commercial per se, it's business and then industrial and stuff like that. If you want to make sure that houses are not affected, you might just refer to it as single-family residential will be excluded. That means if you happen to have a large apartment complex which is vacated and abandoned, you can still act against it. And of course against other commercial or industrial buildings. But if you're concerned about making sure nobody's single-family home is involved or swept up in this, you just exclude single-family residential structures.
Okay.
I think that's still kind of broad. It's, it hasn't eliminated very much, it's still broad. Because here it says whenever property has been determined.
That would be what you would amend on lines 21 and 25.
Yeah, I know from the property, but you were saying any, what type of structure you saying?
Single family.
If you
Excluding single-family structures.
No, Joe was saying something, and he was saying.
on lines 21 and 25, after the word property, if you wanted to insert excluding single-family residential structures, we can put that in parentheses to make sure it's understood that property in that case doesn't apply to those structures. We're not including those in the ordinance. It would only apply to everything other than a single-family residential structure.
Okay. Okay. Let's withdraw. Would you like to withdraw your motion, and we'll start over? Okay.
You want to make the motion, Wayne? Just add that language.
We have a motion on the floor, though. Do we need to withdraw that?
Well, he needs, Alderman Holcomb, I believe, seconded the amendment motion, so he would need to withdraw his second.
He did.
I withdraw my second.
And then-
Okay.
If I might say that, I think the audience are invited to our meetings, and we're talking so softly till I can't hardly hear us either.
Oh.
So I know the audience can't hear us, so please, we can talk a little louder.
All right. Yes, sir. I believe the language you would probably prefer on lines 21 and 25, after the word property in those sentences, you would insert excluding single-family residential structures.
And, that's not the only part that I have a problem with, because where we are talking about the fines and, before it gets to the court, and so forth, I still don't think that the rest of it is in the best interest of the city, when it comes to an offense of less than 10 days, a fine of no more than $100 and at least $100 and no more than $500. I think it's still kind of heavy-handed.
Okay, yes, sir.
So by saying commercial property, would that take away public nuisances, hazardous structures, and related purposes? I mean, how would that be reworded in the title of it? Joe?
Well, it would still apply to public nuisances and hazardous structures, but it simply would exclude, though, those nuisances or structures which constitute single-family residential dwellings. Those just wouldn't be within the scope of this ordinance.
Did you make that motion? Have you made the motion?
Okay, we need to restate the motion. I'm a little lost here. Alderman Holcomb you pulled your second on the amended, right? Okay, so the original motion is on the floor now. Am I correct? Okay.
Then Wayne wants to add what Joe is saying.
Okay, so you want to make a motion to amend
Yes,
to state this?
adding the words excluding
Yeah.
personal residence.
Okay.
It would be amending page 1, lines 21
21,
and 25, after the word property to include the phrase excluding single-family residential structures.
Okay. So we need a second before we can,
Second.
okay? Now the floor is open for discussion on the amendment.
Thank you.
Let's discuss the amendment.
I didn't discuss that during the time that I discussed it, but I too have a problem with all of the numbers and the amounts and the days. I have a problem with the amounts and the days. I don't know how to deal with that, but let me just say this, and I hope I can do this sometime in the near future, that I want to alter our agenda, but that's another day. But we don't usually discuss an ordinance on the floor on the first reading. And I think that's something that we should do, is discuss it even if it ain't for 5 minutes in the first reading, and then in the second reading, and in the third reading, we already corrected. We're on the third reading right now, and we don't quite like it, and we don't quite understand it, but this is the first real day that we've had an opportunity to discuss this. So I would really like to do an ordinance or a resolution or whatever it would take so that we can discuss even on the first reading. So, it is the third reading at this point. And there's some things that I'm not going to understand tonight. There's going to be some things that we're not going to be able to straighten out tonight. And so that means that we've had, 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks, and we're just getting it to discuss it. And that's unfortunate, because it's been here. But on the floor, this is the best that we've had. And I just think that it's sad that we're not ready to vote for it.
Okay, any other comments? Yes, sir.
Now, this excludes, like, let's say related purposes. So you're not talking about any cars, grass?
No.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, that's what the discussion is all about. I just want to make sure that we targeting, because the way we've been doing business, something is not working. So we gotta put something in place that will work, that's workable. Now, today, into tomorrow, and into the future. But this is just talking about the commercial structure, am I right?
Yes, sir. Any other comments?
Mayor, from line 18,
We need really just discuss the amendment right now and get it either approved or disapproved.
And then we could go back to
Then we go back to the
the
general.
original motion.
okay.
Okay. Any other discussion regarding the amendment?
It gives a head up on the ordinance if you vote for the amendment. It gives a head up on it.
No, sir.
It does, or it'll vote up or down.
So, any other discussion on the amended portion? Hearing none, let's have roll call, please.
Alderman Drummond.
Aye.
Alderman Easterly.
Aye.
Alderman Steph.
Aye.
Alderman Walker.
No.
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Brown. Alderman Mays. Alderman Hope.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries on the amendment. Now we'll go back to the original motion regarding the ordinance.
It was the original as amended.
Okay? Any discussion on the original ordinance?
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
That, where it says number 18, I asked the city attorney to read line 18 on the second page, from 18 through 21.
The city retains the authority after expiration of the period in which the owner or person in control was to abate the nuisance to enter upon the property and take all necessary steps to raise and remove the offensive condition as provided in subsection A and under Arkansas law, while also charging the responsible party with a violation of this subsection.
Correction, that was 18 on the third page. 18 through 23.
You're talking about section 3, paragraph D.
Yes. Read section 3.
When an inspector shall have reasonable grounds to believe that structural integrity or foundation of a structure may be compromised, the inspector may request that the owner or person in control of the property provide the inspector with an inspection report of a structural engineer. If the owner or person in control of the property is unwilling to do so, the inspector may, with the approval of the chief inspector and the mayor, arrange for such an inspection either with the consent of the owner or person in control, or by applying to the district court for an order or warrant for entry onto the property and bill the cost of the inspection to the owner or person in control.
Because what that does is, normally before we get to that point, it comes to the council for a vote. But here, it would not. It would be under the control of the chief inspector and the mayor as to what would happen.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
I think it's still bad.
But there again, though, those fees are gonna be, that's some stiff punishment. Those fees are very, very stiff punishment. And, I don't know whether we are, beating our future investors in the head or we're helping them carry the load. I don't know really what we're doing, but those fees can beat you up pretty bad. And it's the fees and the time frame in here too. saying, we've been in the city forever. And all of a sudden, we decide to do something, and we put such a bite in there till you break a man before time. I'm not sure that's a big bite to put on somebody immediately. I just think it's a very big bite. And it's hard to support something that could hurt a future businessman or someone that just doesn't have it to do. And we're talking about some very vague punishments here. Some very stiff punishments here. And, as a city council member, I can't support that. I can't support that.
Any other? Yes, ma'am.
Here in the Code of Ordinance 16-1, now we are looking at a fourth paragraph, this circle, and we are replacing this one circle with 4 sheets. So it's a lot of things that's added from what we've been operating under.
Okay. Any other discussion? Yes, sir.
I'm a member of the development planning, and if something like this usually happen, a letter goes out, they get so many days to look at it, and it comes to our committee. Myself, Alderman Holcomb, and Alderman Boyd is the chair. And we look at all this, and we do our best to try to help people. I'm pretty sure they're going to start calling the alderman. And that's what it's all about. We got to make some kind of step forward as far as the progress of the downtown area in Pine Bluff and the future of our city. If they call me, I'm gonna do my best to help. I mean, really. And that's what we're here for. I mean, I can speak for me personally. But that's what we're all here to do. They call us to step in and try to help them.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, remember what we're saying. We are the Pines Motel forever. I don't know what you're going to leave it as, but it's a nuisance. And remember now, you have to kind of cover that building too. You have to remember that. We're not just doing 1 or 2 people. That's why I'm saying I think it's kind of a still penalty right away. Because we haven't found it. The bank's right across the street. Hadn't found an investor for the Pines building yet, and hadn't found anybody to tear it down yet either. So remember what we're saying. We want everybody in the audience and on the city council remember what we're saying. Because we're not going to let buildings get away with it. To me, you shouldn't even be as a nuisance. It's been there forever, very timid, all over, and it's horrible. Something that we did about 2 months ago, we allowed some students to walk through the building. Please don't ever get that permission again. If something falls down, we are totally liable for anybody that walks through that building. I said, it was on the front page. That was horrible. I saw that. I said, why did we do that? So remember what we are passing tonight, or what we're trying to pass tonight. And that's going to go for those buildings too. Okay?
May we have roll call, please?
Alderman Brumman?
Aye.
Alderman Easterly?
Aye.
Alderman Steph?
Aye.
Alderman Walker? No. Alderman Boyd?
Aye.
Alderman Brown?
No.
Alderman Mays?
Aye.
Alderman Holcomb?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Mayor, we have an ordinance permitting the city to do business with Class A apparel up for the second reading.
An ordinance permitting the city to do business with Class A apparel.
Place it on the calendar. We have an ordinance to close abandoned East 45th Avenue east of South Main Street in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas up for the first reading.
Whereas a petition was duly filed with the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas to close and abandon East 45th Avenue east of South Main Street, and whereas after proper notice as required by law, the city has heard all persons desiring to be heard on the question and has ascertained that the portion of the street herein described has heretofore been dedicated to the public use as a public right-of-way, and that the public interest and welfare will not be adversely affected by the closing of said street. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas hereby releases, vacates, and abandons all its rights together with the rights of the public generally, except those specifically set forth below and in and to the street designated as follows. East 45th Avenue located east of South Main Street in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Section 2, the city of Pine Bluff hereby specifically retains the right to use the street in its entirety as a public utility and drainage easement. Section 3, emergency access for public safety entities must be granted. Section 4, access must also be maintained for conservation purposes for the Bayou Bartholomew Alliance and their successors. Section 5, a copy of the ordinance duly certified by the city clerk shall be filed in the office of the recorder of Jefferson County and recorded in the deed records of the county. Section 6, that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict.
Did you want to complete this one, Alderman Mays? The committee's already looked at it, right?
I think somebody had some questions about it. It's already been approved by the planning commission and everything. Personally, I don't have no problem with reading it.
I move we suspend the rules and place ordinance on the second reading.
No, the reason I had spoken to Reverend Boyd, because somebody called me about it, and I had seen it in the package, but I didn't know anything about it, and I told him that it was up for the first reading. But I'll consent to.
Can I get
What's that?
can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second that we suspend the rules regarding an ordinance to close and abandon East 45th Avenue east of South Main Street in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Floor is now open for discussion. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. As I said in the committee meeting, that no street should be closed without traffic, and everybody should be in the meeting. Should always be a joint meeting. You should never be, no matter about planning, it's traffic. It's traffic, always. If there's a street closed, it should always, you should call the traffic and aviation.
Well, Mr. Brown, this meeting wasn't called concerning just this street. It was during our regular meeting that it was brought up.
That to you, I'll direct it to city council.
Okay. Since our chair just responded to.
Okay. Okay, we're going to vote now to suspend the rules. And may we have roll call, please?
Alderman Brumman.
Aye.
Alderman Easterly. Alderman Steph.
Aye.
Alderman Walker. Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Brown. Alderman Mays. Alderman Hope.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
An ordinance to close and abandon East 45th Avenue east of South Main Street in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Move to further suspend the rules and place the ordinance on the third and final reading.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second to further suspend the rules on the ordinance to close and abandon East 45th Avenue east of South Main Street in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. May we have roll call, please?
Alderman Brumman.
Aye.
Alderman Easterly. Alderman Steph.
Aye.
Alderman Walker. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Brown. Alderman Mays. Alderman Hope.
Aye.
Motion carries.
An ordinance to close and abandon East 45th Avenue east of South Main Street in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Move for adoption.
It's been properly moved and second that an ordinance to close and abandon East 45th Avenue east of South Main Street in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none? Yes, sir.
I'd just like to point out that it's been to the Planning Commission, it's been to our Planning and Development Committee, which all gave due pass and recommendations on this. That's all.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have an ordinance amending the 2014 annual budget to create a line item for housing rehabilitation, designating an amount for the line item and related purposes up for the first reading.
Whereas it is desired to augment the existing city programs for the rehabilitation of the housing stock of the city, and whereas increasing the habitable housing stock of the city will increase property values, result in increased property tax collections, reduce the number of vacant lots in the city, and improve the overall appearance of the community. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1. The 2004 annual budget is amended to add a new line item, housing rehabilitation, Section 2. There is budgeted for this new line item the sum of $500,000, which shall be adjusted and taken from the city's restricted reserve fund account. Section 3, the amount authorized for the housing rehabilitation is in addition to is additional to other funds authorized for this or similar purposes in the 2014 budget, including any authorization in the budget for the Economic and Community Development Department. Section 4. This line item for housing rehabilitation shall be included in the 2015 annual budget for $500,000, less actual expenditures from the line item in 2014, and in addition to funds budgeted for like purposes in the 2015 budget. Section 5, all ordinances or parts of ordinances or resolutions in conflict with this ordinance are repealed to the extent of the conflict. Section 6, this ordinance being of a general or permanent nature, the clerk will cause its publication as required by law.
I think we ought to refer this to the Community Development Committee. Will that be okay, Ms. Walker, for y'all's review? Okay, we have an ordinance establishing within the police department a quality of life division, prescribing the staffing of the division, transferring certain code enforcement functions of the inspection department to the quality of life division of the police department, amending the 2014 city budget and declaring an emergency and related purposes. Up for the first reading.
Whereas it behooves city government to maximize the resources available for the remediation of urban blight and public nuisances, and whereas the reduction and removal of its offending structures and conditions improve the quality of life of all residents, eliminates structures used for criminal activities, aids in rodent reduction, reduces fire hazards, and increases property values, and whereas the creation of a division within the Pine Bluff Police Department for code enforcement will take advantage of established relationships the department has with neighborhood watch groups and other community-based organizations and stakeholders. And whereas the department personnel can react more quickly and effectively to identify and remediate offensive conditions and areas or neighborhoods of the city where they may be found. And whereas the integration of the police and code inspectors will promote the safety of the inspectors and add to the gravitas of the police behind their enforcement actions. And whereas it is vital these changes take effect immediately to address and remediate the offensive conditions and blight which degrades the city. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Section 1, division established. A, there is established within the police department a quality of life division consisting of 7 personnel, 1 police lieutenant, 1 police patrolman, and 5 non-uniform inspectors. B, the division will be under the overall supervision of the Deputy Chief of Police in charge of community relations. C, the 5 inspector positions should be transferred from the roster of personnel in the inspection department and included in the roster of non-uniform personnel of the police department. The inspector shall exercise all the powers and carry out all the duties prescribed in Section 7-27 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and other duties as assigned. Section 2, duties of the division. The Quality of Life Division shall have the primary responsibility for enforcement of the city's ordinances and technical codes concerning property maintenance, nuisance conditions, and structures, and combating urban blight. The division will not be involved in enforcement of the technical codes concerning plumbing, electricity, HVAC, stormwater, or new construction, which will remain the responsibility of the inspection department. Section 3, budget amended. The 2014 city budget is amended to transfer the balance of the wages and benefits due the 5 inspectors for the remainder of 2014 from the budget for the inspection department to the 2014 budget for the police department. The police department should prepare its 2015 budget taking into account the addition of 5 new non-uniformed employees. Section 4, general repealer. All ordinances or parts thereof in conflict with this ordinance are repealed to the extent of the conflict. Section 5, provisions declared severable. The provisions of this ordinance are declared to be severable, and if any provision is declared unlawful, the remaining provisions will continue in effect with the unlawful provisions excised. Section 6, publication required. This ordinance being of a general or permanent nature, it shall be published by the clerk as required by law. Section 7, emergency declared. The reorganization accomplished by this ordinance is vital to an aggressive strategy to remediate public nuisance and offensive conditions contributing to urban blight in the city. It is essential to the public peace, health, and welfare that these conditions be remediated as rapidly as possible to prevent the degradation of neighborhoods and property values, eliminate havens for rodents and incubators for deleterious and hazardous conditions, and hideouts for criminals, and all of which are threatened or occur. Therefore, an emergency is declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in effect from and after the date of its passage.
Mayor, since this also has been to committee, I'd like to move to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on the second reading.
Do I have a second? Okay, it's been properly moved and second that the rules be suspended regarding ordinance establishing within the police department a quality of life division, prescribing the staffing of the division, transferring certain code enforcement functions of the inspection department to the quality of life division of the police department, amending the 2014 city budget, declaring an emergency and related purposes. May we have roll call, please, on suspension, please?
Alderman Drummond.
Aye.
Alderman Eastland. Alderman Steph.
No.
Alderman Walker.
No.
Alderman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderman Brown.
No.
Alderman Mays. Alderman Holcomb.
Aye.
That's it.
Okay,
You don't have 6.
okay.
Okay, we'll place it on the calendar. We have an ordinance amending section 26-155 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas regarding downtown limiting time parking penalty and exceeding time limit to add subsection D concerning parking along Barracue Street near and in front of the Jefferson County Courthouse and for related purposes up for the first reading.
Whereas sufficient public parking exists in the Jefferson County Courthouse area to allow removal of any time constraints for parking along Barracue Street from Main Street west to Pine Street. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, Section 26-155 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas is amended to add the following as a new subsection D. Notwithstanding subsections A and C of this section or any other provision of this chapter, there shall be no time limit for vehicle parking along Barracue Street from its intersection with Main Street westward to its intersection with Pine Street unless the vehicle is abandoned, junked, or an inoperable motor vehicle as defined in section 1652 of this code, in which case the vehicle may be removed as provided by law. Section 2, all ordinances or parts thereof in conflict with this ordinances are appealed to the extent of the conflict. Section 3, this ordinance being of general or permanent nature, it should be published as prescribed by law.
This should be referred to the Traffic Operations Committee, so y'all can discuss it and bring back a recommendation. Okay. We have a resolution approving an application for grant funds from the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics and committing the City of Pine Bluff to pay matching share of the grant.
Whereas there is continued need for asphalt improvements at the Pine Bluff Municipal Airport, Grider Field, and whereas grant funds are available through Arkansas Department of Aeronautics in the maximum grant amount of $200,000, of which the city's matching share would be 10% or $20,000. And whereas it is desired to approve the Aviation Commission's application for the grant and to commit the city to paying its matching share. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that the application for grant funds in the maximum amount available from the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics for improvements to the asphalt at the municipal airport is approved. The city commits to payment of its matching share of the grant up to a maximum of $20,000.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution approving an application for grant funds from the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics and committing the City of Pine Bluff to pay a matching share of the grant. Floor is now open for discussion. Yes, sir.
Yes, with the support, or good evening, Mayor and council members, with the financial support of the City of Pine Bluff, the Pine Bluff Aviation Commission would like to apply for a grant from the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics for further asphalt improvements at Grider Field. This is a 90-10 grant, as discussed. The grant limit is $200,000. The city's portion would be $20,000, not to exceed $20,000. The state's portion is $180,000. So for $20,000 investment, we're getting $200,000 worth of pavement work at the airport. We're looking at, the city helped to build a T-hangar at the airport in 2007. The asphalt apron around that needs seal coat on it. It's been some years now, it needs to be sealed. The majority of the work would take place around the terminal building. So the Aviation Commission is requesting the support of the City of Pine Bluff to fund the 20%. If approved by the council and the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics, this work would not take place until next calendar year. We're late in the year for asphalt work. With the support of the City Council, if you support this, then I will go to the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics in November. They're not having a meeting in October. I've talked to the director, and he said that he would support this. Of course, it's up to their commission, but he spoke like it was a good project. So your serious consideration of our request was certainly appreciated.
Any questions, comments? All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Mayor, we have a resolution setting the millage for the Policeman's Relief and Pension Fund for the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Whereas it is now,
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution setting the millage for the Policeman's Relief and Pension Fund for the City of Pine Bluff. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a resolution setting the millage for the Fireman's Relief and Pension Fund for the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
whereas it is now,
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution setting the millage for the Fireman's Relief and Pension Fund for the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Floor is now open for discussion.
Just
Yes,
say
sir.
for the benefit of someone who may not know, this is what we do every year. It's the exact same thing. Nothing's changed. It's just we have to do it and make formality every year to do it. So that's the reason.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a resolution setting the millage for general purposes as authorized and prescribed by law for the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
where it is now desired
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution setting the millage for general purposes as authorized and prescribed by law for the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, we have a resolution setting the millage for the operation and maintenance of the Pine Bluff Public Library.
whereas it is now desired
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution setting the millage for the operation and maintenance of the Pine Bluff Public Library. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We'll move to number 15, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding with Jefferson County for a recycling center.
Whereas Jefferson County and the City of Pine Bluff share mutual interest in providing recycling service for their customers and residents now and in the future, and share the goal of providing this recycling service at a reasonable cost. And whereas a partnership is envisioned between the City of Pine Bluff and Jefferson County for a recycling center operation. And whereas because the City of Pine Bluff does not have a qualifying facility expenditure to use the household waste grant, the city has received a change order from the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality to transfer the grant monies to Jefferson County Recycling Center operation in the amount of $33,320.73 for the purpose of facility improvements that will benefit the city and the county. And whereas the City of Pine Bluff should enter into a memorandum of understanding with Jefferson County to establish the Recycling Center Operation Partnership. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that the mayor is authorized and directed to execute a memorandum of understanding with Jefferson County Recycling Center. The city clerk shall attest the mayor's signature as needed. Section 2, that the mayor is authorized to execute additional documents needed to effect the purposes of the program as it regards the city and to undertake and do such actions as needed for the city to fulfill its responsibilities as agreed.
Move for adoption.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding with Jefferson County for a recycling center operation. Floor is now open for discussion. Yes, ma'am.
Article 5, here it says, the county acknowledged city's position that the mayor of the city of Pine Bluff has stated that it is her intent to transfer all of the recycling equipment that the city owned and previously used in the operation of the city recycling center to the county, and the county then proceeds to construct and thereafter operate the recycling center on county-owned property. So, so what, we did have a recycling, correct?
We had, yes, household recycling,
So
purchased with grant money.
So we are just transferring, we are giving the county ours.
We're transferring the equipment that was purchased with the grant money over to the recycling, Jefferson County Recycling Program. And that's not equipment that was owned by the city. The city did not purchase it with city money. It was grant money that is awarded to our city or our county on a yearly basis.
It was grant money that was granted to the city.
The Jefferson County.
Right. So, in other words, what we are doing with recycling being the thing to do, now we are giving away our recycling to the county. Is that correct?
I don't know if you would say we're giving ours away. What we're doing is partnering up with the county, and we're expanding the scope of recycling to a tri-county recycling center.
Okay, but it will be Jefferson County recycling, right?
That's how yes, because that's how the funds come in. That's how we receive the funds, through Jefferson County.
But we had received funds for the city of Pine Bluff, right?
Oh, I'm not understanding the question.
That the city had received recycling funds.
We have in the past, yes.
And so therefore, of signing this, we would not receive any more recycling funds that would go to the county, correct?
The only way the city has received recycling funds is through the board. The board allows each city that participates in its Pine Bluff, Redfield, and Whitehall. And through the board meetings on a yearly basis, they will do allocations as to how much each city will receive. And the board met with CAD last year, stating that we wanted to develop a tri-county recycling center.
Was anything signed over from the city at that time?
I don't know what you mean.
Was anything from the city signed over to Jefferson County for their recycling?
Nothing that the city owns.
Okay, we were saying equipment, so we didn't make any agreement or anything from the city of Pine Bluff to go to Jefferson County.
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking me.
Was anything transferred from the city's recycling over to Jefferson County?
Only the equipment that was purchased through with grant money.
But it was still grant money to the city?
It's recycling grant money.
To the city of Pine Bluff?
Well, but it was purchased with recycling grant money. And that part was transferred over to the recycling center.
Okay, I still say the money was to the city of Pine Bluff.
Okay,
Am I
yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay, and then, who gave the authority to, transfer it over to Jefferson County?
I did.
Okay, and that wasn't supposed to come through the county?
It's coming through now.
Okay, but you had given, what some.
It was an agreement, well, we agreed upon it. We're doing it now.
So, but it has already been agreed upon, correct? So
Yes.
This is just finalizing.
Yes.
Okay, I think that the resolution should have come before the recycling so that the whole council can have some say-so about the recycling. You know, you just don't, with recycling being the thing now, you just don't give it away to someone else, and especially apparently since we have more of the monies and equipment. You know, so that's something that should have been discussed, I believe, with the council.
It would have been taken away from us.
Big part.
It would have been taken away from us anyway. It wasn't ours in the first place. It would have been taken away from
I
us.
still say it should have come before the council in the beginning.
Okay, okay. Any other discussion? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. It almost came out of what I wanted to ask, and that was, if it belonged to the city, then why does, I want it back. I've had some constituents say they want to have it back. And who authorized for it to be given away? And, you know, the city council didn't do that, and I don't think it's a individual decision that should have been made in that. And this resolution is a dime short and too late. It should have been done before now. In fact, the whole idea of recycling should have been brought to the city council. And then later, this should have been, I don't know whether we even would have adopted this, because if the city council said that we wanted to keep our recycling, this would have been null and void. This would have been taken place. I think what has happened here, and abuse of powers has taken place. We are the city council. And if we're not needed, then we shouldn't get elected. I think that these kind of decisions, and I want it back. I want our recycling program back. I want it back, because there's some things I know about recycling when I was in county, and there's some things that's happening in recycling with the county over the last, since January. Some real serious things has happened. I keep up with the county and the city, and they playing with some money over there. They played with some white money. They gave a couple of their employees $15,000 raise. They were doing full-time. That's some things that I keep up with the county, and I'd like our recycling program back. I would just suggest that we not even think about passing this. I want the recycling program back in the city of Pine Bluff.
Yes, sir.
The city council is not authorized for it to go anywhere.
Yes, sir.
I would ask that the other council members, if they have not, to read Article 5.
Alderman Stebbs?
Oh, I was, you indicated that, that had it not been done, that they were gonna take it away
Yes, sir.
anyhow.
Yes, sir.
Is that the,
That's the board.
That's a
Yes,
board.
yes, sir. And this grant,
Recycling Jefferson County Board?
yes, and this grant, the whole program and the whole process is overseen by CAD. And that's where the grant money, it comes from. And then you've got a board, and the board is made up of the mayor of Pine Bluff, Jefferson County judge, and the mayor of Whitehall.
Just three? Are those the three people?
Yes, sir. And what happens on a yearly basis, the money is awarded to CAD, and then they go in and distribute according to certain needs. And the equipment that was purchased for our household waste program, all that equipment was purchased with grant money. So the city never purchased the money itself.
But it was
That-
in the city name.
That is all through this particular grant.
Okay, one other question, Mayor. It says here that the city does not have a qualifying facility expenditure to use the household waste grant. What is that in reference to?
Which line are you
It's
on?
on line 6 on the first page. Where
Joe.
because the city of Pine Bluff does not have a qualifying facility expenditure to use the household waste grant, and that the city has received a change order from the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality to transfer the grant money to Jefferson County. So are we saying that the environmental quality control people,
ADEQ is the one,
ADEQ.
yes, they're the overseers of this money.
and they the one that asked it to be transferred?
That's correct. And they are the ones that approve the whole program.
They asked, do we have that in writing that they asked for it? You know, the reason I am concerned is because we have dealt with this prior to this year and the year before, and we had talked about household recycling, and so for us to be considering, because that's the new thing that is coming into for each household, to have their own recycling, curb recycling. And I had talked to the gentleman, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, about bringing that back to household recycling. And he was saying, you know, of course, just letting him know. And then this comes up, a decision has been made without the council, because whatever equipment that we had, the council is over the equipment, even if it was bought with grant money.
The point here is that the grant money is issued through ADEQ. ADEQ was the one that decided that this tri-county recycling center would be built. It's for tires, it's for household waste, it's for everything. And so with that, you have to comply with what ADEQ states, or we will not receive any monies, period, at all.
So who agreed with that?
I agree with ADEQ, and that's why we've been meeting on this, that's why we did the resolution, that's why we did the memorandum of understanding. Yes, sir.
Mayor, you don't feel it deemed necessary for the city council to know such a large transaction?
That's what we're doing here.
No.
Okay.
You've already
Okay.
given it away, Mayor. It's
Okay.
already done.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, Mayor.
We're doing cleanup stuff for you. I still got the floor. You use powers to give this to, and I'm serious about what I know that happens in recycling. It's been going on since 2000. I know about recycling, and that's something happened with recycling in county, and I can't talk about kind of business, I can, but it would take too long. But some real bad stuff happened at county with recycling like 3-4 months ago, and it's horrible. There's a lot of hidden money in recycling that the average person don't know about, and it's been important to me that we want our recycling in Pine Bluff. If checks or if equipment was given to recycling in the name of Pine Bluff, then that's just city council here. That's us. It should not leave the possession of the city without us making an agreement on this floor to you or to anybody else. Nobody has that authority. I don't care who's on that board. It has to come right here first, and it didn't come here. And we want our recycling program back, and I'm asking that you get our program back.
I just want to ask another question. How much revenues has been produced by us having the recycling center?
We had to supplement the household waste department that we had here. We had to supplement it. Steve, do you know exactly what the amount was?
Two different times, I believe one was 14,000, maybe another was 8,000. There were periods of time where salaries for the administrators, Mr. Kulak, weren't covered by the grant, and that had to be paid out of the general fund.
He didn't take care of it.
Yes, sir.
Yes. This is the only one in my packet that I didn't put a yes or no on, and I wanted more clarification about it. I usually put that on all of them. But, so, Alderman Walker was saying something like, or something pertaining to the grant money with Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and Jefferson County, Arkansas. The money was coming to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So we're gonna give the $33,300 from here on out to Jefferson County, Arkansas. Tell me something, over on Harding Street, is that the recycling?
Yes.
Okay, is that Jefferson County, Arkansas land?
They own the building.
Well, it says right here, it says, the recycling center on county-owned property. So,
They own the building, the land, yes.
okay, the land-
Yes,
the land
yes.
is the property, okay.
Yes, yes.
So we get, okay, so Steve, Mr. Miller just said that it was a $14,000, it was that net profit or gross profit?
That was an expense to the city, where we had to pay expenses of the household waste grant that were not covered by the state. And so actually, there's some exposure to having the household waste grant.
That's a good point.
And administering it, you had to pay expenses two different times during the course of that program.
But as far as net profits go, we only get 10% of net profits over how long a period?
Whenever they start seeing a profit. But 9 times out of 10 with grants like this, you really don't realize a profit because they're continuously putting the monies back into more machinery, upgrading the machinery, expanding the program, and things of this nature. But what's good about this program is this is a tri-county. So we're going to have other counties and other cities bringing their household waste here. And then here, they're going to be distributing it and taking it off from here. But one of the things that we need to understand is that the amounts that were awarded or distributed to our city over a period of time, those amounts varied according to the grants that we got. And our portion of it might have been $50,000 one year. It could have been another amount another year. But that was based upon the decision of the board.
But Mayor, but everything you say, you can talk all day. We're saying that it is permission by this city council for it to be given or merged with anybody else. That did not take place. Recycling is supposed to be an environmental thing, and it really doesn't supposed to be money made from recycling. But there's some hidden money in recycling that I know about from the county. All I'm saying is that we can talk about how much money it makes and how much money it did make. There's an authorization that has to come through city council before it gives to anybody else. Whatever else you can say, that's the most important issue right here. You made a decision for recycling to leave the hands of Pine Bluff to the county without city council approval.
Just one other question. I know we had three committee persons. Is this on a rotation basis or would it's permanent?
Well, from what I know, it's a permanent. And of course, that's according to whoever the sitting mayor is at that time of the two cities or the judge. And I cannot answer as to who created the board, if that came from ADEQ or if that came from CAD. I don't know the answer to that one.
But I think any decision that is made here now for the recycling, this is permanent regardless to who the city mayor is. We've entered into a permanent agreement. And did I hear it said that over here where we had our recycling, that belonged to the county?
The new facility? No, behind Taylor Field belongs to us.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought that's what Alderman Mays was asking.
Well, they did, that was stated, and I was wondering if that property belonged to the city or the county.
It belonged to the city, but it was stated that it belonged to the county.
Right.
I was talking about over on
talking
Harding
about
Street.
On Harding Street.
Harding Street.
That was how they got it laid out over there on Harding Street. But my issue with this is, I got a problem.
It belongs to the county.
That's what it said, yeah.
I have a problem with the boundary lines, a lot of things going out of here. That's why I didn't mark this yes or no over the weekend. I studied it twice, and I didn't understand why we would give up something, but, I mean, I'm just, my thing is
We didn't give anything up. We didn't have a choice. ADEQ is the one that administers these grants. And ADEQ was the one that signed off on this program. CAD is the one that actually oversees the grants. ADEQ was the one that said that these amounts that we award to Jefferson County will go to CAD for this recycling program. The city has no say-so in that, period.
Southeast Arkansas.
Yes,
If that is the
Economic
case,
Development District.
then
Economic
that should have
Development
been
District.
attached to this.
Glenn Bell and his people, that's who got the money.
And again, if that is the case, I would recommend that this resolution be held until we get the other information from CAG to show that this is the way that it should be done.
okay, yes, sir.
Is that
It's
the-
too important to just give it away like that.
Where they moved to on Harding, that's the permanent location for recycling now?
Yes, sir.
For Tri-County?
Yes, sir.
So even though it's in the city, we won't have anything to do with it.
No, sir, nothing.
It's within our city limits, we won't have anything to do with it.
Nothing to do with it.
To me, that's the neat part of it. We are shifting the risk and the responsibility to the county. There's a lot of risk and a lot of maybes that could happen operating in such a center. We are shifting it over to the county. We're not really, if you read the document, it says ADEQ said this is the way it's going to be. The mayor didn't have a choice in this.
But we don't have the document that says this. I think that there is a choice, and no one person should have made that decision.
She didn't make a decision. It was just, they made the decision.
Oh, we just said that she did. She signed it. It says,
She didn't sign nothing.
you received the order.
Okay, any other discussion on this?
I make a recommendation that, we table it until we can get more information.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. Okay, I'm gonna call for roll call, please.
Alderman Drummond?
Aye.
Alderman Eastern? Alderman Steph?
No.
Alderman Walker?
No.
Alderman Boyd?
Aye.
Alderman Brown? Alderman Mays? Alderman Hope?
Okay, time, I vote aye.
So you're gonna hear something about this, because this was an illegal transition.
Crazy. Okay, Mayor, we have a resolution declaring a moratorium on enforcement of parking regulations regarding a time limit for parking along Barracue Street from Main Street West to its intersection with Pine Street.
Whereas early voting at the Jefferson County Courthouse will begin in the next few weeks for the general election on November 4th, 2014, and whereas time constraints on parking along Barracue Street from Main Street to west to Pine Street should be suspended during this time, and whereas sufficient parking exists in the Jefferson County Courthouse area to allow the permanent removal of any time constraints for parking along Barracue Street. Oh, goodness. And from Main Street to West Pine Street. And whereas an ordinance has been submitted for consideration by the council to permanently remove time constraints along this stretch of Barracue Street, but the normal working of the legislative calendar may preclude the ordinance from being effective in time and should be adopted. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, effective upon adoption, this resolution, a moratorium on the enforcement by the Pine Bluff Police Department or other city agency is declared regarding any parking rule or regulation restricting the time a vehicle may be parked along Barricue Street West to its intersection with Pine Street. No person shall be cited for such violation while this moratorium is in effect. Section 2, this moratorium shall continue until repealed or superseded by adoption of an ordinance providing for permanent removal of time constraints.
Move for adoption.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution declaring a moratorium on moratorium on enforcement of parking regulations regarding a time limit for parking along Barricue Street from Main Street West to its intersection with Pine Street. Floor is now open for discussion.
Give me something. Number 16 and number 7. Joe, just the moratorium separates them?
It's to force it to happen now.
Excuse me?
The resolution is to force it to happen now.
Okay, any other comments? May we have roll call, please?
Alderman Brumman?
No?
Alderman Easterly?
No.
Alderman Steps?
Yes.
Alderman Walker?
Yes.
Alderman Boyd? Alderman Brown?
No.
Alderman Brown?
Aye.
Alderman Mays?
No.
Alderman Hope?
Okay. Dies for lack of a fifth.
Okay, we have a resolution approving the temporary relocation of divisions of Pine Bluff Police Department from the Joe Thomas Public Safety Building.
Whereas the planned renovation of the Joe Thomas Public Safety Building requires that the Detective Division and the Chief's Office and Administrative Service Division be temporarily relocated to another site, and whereas the Department has identified suitable locations for each division and is in the process of securing approval of the Pine Bluff Planning Commission for use of the sites, now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, the temporary relocation of the Chief's Office and Administrative Services Division from the Joe Thomas Public Safety Building during the renovation of that facility at 305 East 6th Avenue, former home of Hoffman Henry Insurance Agency, is approved. Section 2, the temporary relocation of the Detective Division from the Joe Thomas Public Safety Building during the renovation of that facility to 3131 West 28th Avenue, the former Delta Resource Center facility in Regency Square, is approved. Section 3, the sites are contingent on approval by the Planning Commission of each site for the use of the Police Department.
Move for adoption.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution approving the temporary relocation of the divisions of the Pine Bluff Police Department from the Joe Thomas Public Safety Building. Floor is now open for discussion. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, do we have, I think this is from Lieutenant Price, he may have one to answer this.
Yes, ma'am.
Lieutenant Price, do you have a dollar amount on the Hoffman Henry Insurance Agency?
Monthly rental, $1,000 a month.
So we're talking about $12,000.
Yes, ma'am, for a year.
Okay, and what about on 28th Street?
1,500.
1,500?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that include utilities?
No, ma'am.
So Hoffman as well?
Right, that's 1,000 plus cost of utilities.
With the detectives, could they not use the armory for temporary?
No, ma'am, we're at capacity. We're doubling up, tripling up, and some offices have 4 people in each room now. We're at capacity now.
Have we looked at any other place beside Regency Square? I agree with Hoffman Henry for chief because it's right in the heart of the city. So I think that would be a good location, but did we look at any other?
Those were the ones I personally was involved in Hoffman here. The others were just brought to my attention so I could put in a proposal. I can't answer that question.
Well, of course, we can't do anything till the Planning Commission meets on the 30th, I believe, of this month. And pending their approval, then we could go ahead and start making sure. There should be little to, not much we need to do for the Hoffman building because all the Cat 5 cabling for computers and the communication equipment's already in there. Would have to look at what's going, we'll have to put some wiring, for computers and telephones and whatnot. And it takes about 10 days anyway to get AT&T to transfer our existing numbers to outlying areas. So if the Planning Commission okays it on September 30th, feasibly, you could actually start moving desks and chairs and things like that the next day. But, of course, our telephones wouldn't be in place or anything because everything's hinging on your approval tonight plus the Planning Commission approving it on the 30th. So it could be pretty quick. It's just depending on how quick we can get everything in place for our infrastructure as far as computers, telephones, and fax lines and things like that.
Okay, and that's the same for Regency Square?
That's the one that's primarily going. Hoffman building it's got a lot of wiring in it now. We may not even have to do anything in there. It's pretty complete as it is. The Regency Square offices might be the one we'll have to look at and put extension lines and things like that in, but they were being used as corporate offices as well over there. So I don't know the extent of how much computer cabling and things like network cabling that have to be put in.
Which building is that at Regency Square?
You familiar with where Fiesta Mexicana is, the restaurant? You know where the old county market building is. And then you have Fiesta Mexicana, which is the first one in that west wing over there. It's about 4 doors down from that, 3 to 4 doors down from it.
Any other questions for Lieutenant Price?
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Price. Will our information technology office put the wiring in?
Yeah, we would, of course, Wes would be involved in that, as well as Sergeant Ernest. It'd be all hands on deck because, once we pull down here, we need to get back in service as quickly as possible. So we'll use what resources we have to make that happen pretty quick.
Well, I guess my question would be, if it has to go to the Planning Commission, should we wait on their decision before we render one, vote on one here?
Well, the Planning Commission might say, well, you need council approval. Which comes first?
Our deal is based on them approving it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's based on them approving it.
Then they can go to work. What the Planning Commission does is we'll have to come back to this.
On the board.
Yes, sir.
No, I was just gonna say, when they came to our committee meeting the other evening, that's why they asked for it to come to the council now, so that they'll be ready to move on it. Planning Commission approval.
Makes sense.
And that's why I co-sponsored it as well when they came into our development planning meeting. Assistant Chief Whitfield said that, so.
I just got one other question or a statement. I think that in as much as the Lieutenant Price had the information on Hoffman building when he put the proposal out here, then so when they brought it to you, whoever brought it to you on the other part, did they not give you no specifics on it, whoever brought it to you?
Well, like I say, until we actually start moving, there might be an extra computer in this room that we don't know about, things like that. It's not going to be anything major. It can all be handled pretty much in-house, actually, because we possess our own tools, things to put computer ends on. It's a matter of raising the thing up, throwing a wire across and bringing it down, stuff like that.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, Mayor, we have a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Pine Bluff to utilize federal aid, transportation, community, and system preservation funds for decorative light poles on Highway 79B.
Whereas the City of Pine Bluff is approved for $500,000 in federal aid, transportation, community, and systems preservation program for funding to purchase decorative street lighting, and whereas the City of Pine Bluff has committed $125,000 in matching funds in order to receive the federal aid funds for the following project. The project listed below. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that Section 1, the city will participate in accordance with its designated responsibilities, including maintenance of this project. Section 2, the mayor and her designated representative is hereby authorized and directed to execute all appropriate agreements and contracts necessary to expedite the construction of this city project. Section 3, the city pledges its full support and hereby authorizes the Arkansas State Highway and Transportation Department to initiate action to implement this project.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Pine Bluff to utilize federal aid transportation, community, and systems preservation, the TCSP funds for decorative light poles on Highway 79B. Floor is now open for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I knew we put some. I didn't know. Okay. When are we gonna finish that road? We have a resolution declaring certain houses, buildings, and/or structures as nuisance and ordering their abatement.
Whereas the City Council has
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that a resolution declaring certain houses, buildings, and/or structures as nuisance and ordering their abatement. Floor is now open for discussion.
Nah, I need to move to amend. I think everyone have copies of some of the projects coming off, the list that's on there.
Remove which one, sir?
These that's on, I think everyone should have a copy.
I don't have,
Don't?
no.
Okay,
You don't know what that one.
How many do you have, sir?
I only have one here.
How many's on the list?
Four.
Four?
Need a name?
Do you want to call them out?
Okay.
It doesn't matter, we have a list anyway, we should have added, so.
Mr. Johnson on, 1310 South Texas Street. PRB Property Solutions, 1210 East 20th Avenue. And Rita Ross, 8th and Fig Street, and George Washington at 12th and Texas.
I thought they did.
It says here all the account payments to them.
Okay. Did we have a second to your amended amendment? Okay. All right. It's been properly moved and second, the amendment to the houses that Alderman Boyd read. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to go on to,
Move for the original as amended.
okay, it's been properly moved and second to approve the original as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.